Hello and welcome back to Offroad Outlaws, y'all, and before we get into the video, I do want to go ahead and address that this Beetle that I am using, this highly modified Beetle, was a premium vehicle, and I got it as my one monthly special vehicle that I get for being a member. So just in case you're curious as to where that vehicle came from, because I've seen some comments in some of my previous off-road videos where I've used special vehicles like that, you know, where did you get it, how did you get it, that's how. Every month, members get one free premium vehicle. Now, to start off, what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to be reading some of your comments from the comment section of one of the videos that I recently did in regards to the next Offroad Outlaws update, and I'm going to go over what I think about some of them, whether I think that they could be, you know, what you mentioned could be, you know, more likely to be added, or if I think it's maybe not as likely, but I would love to see it. Y'all get the idea, so let's go ahead and actually read some comments. Now, one comment here says, we need a 6x6 rollback. That would be sick. I think it would be amazing to see something like that. I don't know if the functionality of the rollback would work. I mean, keep in mind it would probably be a lot to kind of rig that up and put it together. Another comment was, I wish they would add a Suzuki Jimny. Now, the Suzuki Jimny outside of the US has a massive following, especially a massive off-road following, even with the new one. Now, the Jimny has been around as a model for a really long time, and those of you that are watching outside the US are going to be like, of course the Jimny is a great vehicle. Although, those of you that are in the US might not even know what a Jimny is. You might, but you also might not. Now, another one here is, I hope they do a 6.0 Power Stroke. This is one that I've seen a lot. This is a comment that I've seen a lot in a lot of different Offroad Outlaws update videos. A lot of people saying, I want a 6.0 Power Stroke. And I think, you know, the 6.0 Power Stroke is such a common truck. It's, you know, you can go out on the highway and you'll see like 5. You know what I mean? Well, depending on where you're from, I guess. But you could go out on the highway and very easily, very commonly see, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.0 Power Stroke trucks. And I think a lot of people identify with those trucks because they are fairly common. And I do think, in the grand scheme of things, if they were to add some more trucks, I do think that that body style of Ford truck, you know, the 6.0 Power Stroke generation body style Ford truck, would be, you know, fairly simple to add to the game, of course, in an unbranded way. Another comment was, and actually I saw multiple comments saying this in the last video, I hope we get more barn finds. And that's something that I've seen more and more in my comments as I've done more videos leading up to the next Offroad Outlaws update, is people wanting more barn finds. Now, I have been kind of like, I don't know, barn finds I have enjoyed, but they were never my main draw into the game. They were never my main draw into the gameplay. My biggest draw into the game has always been the customization of the trucks and the custom maps. Now, as far as, you know, custom maps go, I like playing them. I don't have any experience building them, but I love enjoying them just as something to enjoy within the game. I think they give a lot of life to the game, and I probably spend more time customizing my trucks in Offroad Outlaws than I do driving them. Well, it depends on what kind of scenario you're talking about, but I spend a lot of time, in the grand scheme anyway, doing both. Now, this next comment was a little longer, but it did go into a decent amount of detail, so I'm going to go ahead and read it real quick. Now, it says, it would be cool to see a couple more older trucks, like older Dodges, older Fords, older Chevys, and adjustable exhaust tips where you can put them where you want, like kind of precisely adjust them, which I do agree with that. A couple more things that they say they'd like to see is cab customization and bed customization. That's something we've talked about at length on this channel. They go on to say, I would like to see better diesel and gas engine sounds. They also say they would like to see a Can-Am X3, as well as more realistic tire options and more stickers and window decals, which I do think that would be great to see. Would love to see those as an option. And they also say they would like to have the ability to roll, you know, for their truck, to their diesel truck anyway, to roll coal while it's driving around kind of, you know, at any speed rather than just off the start and up to, I think, about 20 miles an hour, which is what it is now. And, you know, that depends on whether or not you like to do that, but I assume, I don't know if this is fully the case, but I assume that the reason why they limited it to up to 20 miles an hour was that so that in multiplayer, you didn't get, like, you know, a bunch of trucks all driving around, all at max smoke, crashing somebody's device because it's older and couldn't render all the smoke in time. I don't know, but that's kind of my assumption. Now, next up, we have a comment that says, I don't like your videos. Oh no. Anyway, But moving on to the next comment starts off by saying, love the content, and then they go on to say, first of all, thank you so much for that. They go on to say, me personally, I wish they made it so you could roll coal up to about 100 miles an hour. See, this is another person asking for the option for the diesel trucks to roll coal past about 20 miles an hour. I don't know if it's 20 or 30. It's somewhere in there. It doesn't really matter. Like, at the end of the day, it's like a 10-mile-an-hour difference. It's no big deal. But they also say, I wish we had the option to switch diesel engine sounds, and they say, like, if I could press a button that said Duramax and then my truck would sound like one, but all in the game, like, you know, I feel like that specifically, yes, you know, that's a little bit far. I mean, I don't think, obviously, they're not going to put a branded truck sound, or at least a truck sound with a brand name attached to it in the game, because that would require a bunch of licensing and this, that, and the other. But you could definitely make a sound that sounded somewhat kind of similar to, like, you know, a Duramax with an open exhaust and stuff like that, or a turbo back with a big tip or something like that. I don't think it would be that hard to do, but I do think that the ability to switch sounds would really be something that this community would latch onto, and I think it's also something that would bring a lot of people back to the game, because I know that when they did one of the updates, and I can't remember exactly which one it was, they switched something about how the engines sounded, particularly the diesels, and I know that I wasn't the biggest fan of the way it sounded, and a lot of people in the community weren't the biggest fan of the way it sounded either. It didn't, like, ruin the game or anything. It didn't take anything away from the enjoyment of the vehicles for me, but it did, like, I don't know, it definitely kind of dialed back a little bit of the immersion of the sound. And yes, I know that sound-based immersion is not the goal of this game. This is not some kind of simulator. It's literally a mobile off-roading game, and I understand that. However, they've pushed it so far in so many other ways that, for me, it kind of has me wondering, like, okay, how much farther can we push this game? And, you know, now we're kind of nitpicking at these little details, because I think that's where we're at with this game now. You know, we're nitpicking at these little details because we've already seen them add so much. And with that, we need to move on to the next comment, which actually said camper shells. Now, it really, like, trust me, there was no more to that comment than that. It just said camper shells, and they actually put a period at the end of it. Camper shells, period. So whether you call them camper shells or bed caps, it would definitely be a cool feature to see in the game for a lot of the trucks, I think. However, if it was me, and this is not to say that camper shells would not be important, but I would personally still put, like, exhaust customization and the ability to move your exhaust around and position it where you want it and this, that, and the other. I would put that a little bit higher up than something like camper shells, but that's just a personal preference for me, and I completely understand that everybody's personal preferences when it comes to customization are going to be different, because literally, vehicle customization, the whole point of it is to be subjective so that you personally can build the vehicle that you personally want, and everybody's personal taste when it comes to vehicle customization is going to be totally different. That's why some people paint their vehicles red, some people paint their vehicles green, some people paint their vehicles blue. You know, sometimes you forget to take a breath when you're commentating a video, you know, things like that. Now, here's a comment that really caught my eye, and I really wanted to bring this up and talk about it, because I don't know if it would be possible to do it in the game or do it in one of these updates, but I think it would be so freaking cool. Now, the comment reads, something I think would be awesome is the option to put airbags on your truck or just have adjustable suspension while driving in general. Now, this would go a long way in Offroad Outlaws. It would allow people to make any level lift kit trucks. It would allow people to make slammed out, you know, bagged show trucks. It would allow so much variety in terms of custom truck building, and it would definitely take truck meets to the next level. And while I'm not going to hold my breath for them to add that feature, I do think that it would be something the community would absolutely go bananas for if they, you know, announced it or, you know, just randomly dropped it one day, or they were like, hey, we're doing this. I think if they were just casually like, hey, by the way, we're doing this, I think the whole community would be like, I'm sorry, you're doing what? But in, like, a really good way, a really positive, receptive way. So that's definitely a suggestion that I never personally thought of, because it never crossed my mind that, you know, there are some things that just never cross your mind that they would even be possible in a game like this, and for some people, that's, like, the first thing that comes to their mind, and I'm glad that they shared that, because it's definitely a feature I think would be sick to have. And this is where I ask y'all to go ahead and leave your comments down below as to not only what you would like to see in the next update, but where you think Offroad Outlaws is going and where you think it should go in the future. I think they've definitely more than made a name for themselves at this point in the mobile off-road gaming space. They're one of the biggest that we have right now, and I think they're one of the biggest communities in general that we have, especially when it comes to mobile. And of course, with that all being said and done, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see y'all next time. Talk to y'all later.